White House Counsel Don McGahn is leaving. The president confirmed the departure with this tweet. White House Counsel Don McGahn will be leaving his position in the fall, shortly after the confirmation, hopefully, of Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court. I have worked with Don for a long time and truly appreciate his service. This all comes less than 2 weeks after McGahn sat down with special counsel Robert Mueller. We know that he was interviewed for hours in the Russia investigation. For more on this, I want to bring in CBS News White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. The reporting is that he was interviewed for some 30 hours by the special counsel's investigators, looking into all sorts of things, Weijia, including obstruction of justice. The thing about Don McGahn is he's been there for a lot of crucial decisions made by the president, including the firing of FBI Director James Comey, discussions about Jeff Sessions and his jobs. It goes on and on. So, Weijia, why is this departure so significant?
Well, the timing of this departure is significant because, as you mentioned, it has been less than 2 weeks since the news surfaced that McGahn sat down for that extremely lengthy interview. In fact, it's been 11 days since that news broke, and it became a huge headline because of how long that interview lasted. I spoke with other White House counsels for former administrations, and, you know, they say they cannot imagine what anyone could grill McGahn about for 30 hours. That is a wealth of information handed over to special counsel Robert Mueller. And at the time, President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, even said we might not know ever exactly all the details that McGahn shared with the special counsel. And because of this timing, it certainly looks like you can draw a link between the two, that here you have McGahn contributing to the special counsel's investigation and just a short time later departing the White House. But we should mention that from the beginning, President Trump has been annoyed at this storyline, right? You know, when he found out, or when the news broke that McGahn did this interview, the president said, of course he did. I knew he was going to do it because I signed off on it. And so he was very frustrated with any, speculation that McGahn might have flipped or provided information that was damaging to President Trump, who has maintained throughout all of the interviews that the special counsel has done that he doesn't have anything to hide because he has done nothing wrong. And so it's really the timing, though, that draws attention to his leaving even more than it normally would, and because the president has not provided an alternative explanation to why he is leaving now.
So in that tweet from the president mentioned Judge Kavanaugh. We know that McGahn was instrumental in the choosing of Judge Kavanaugh to be appointed to the Supreme Court. But give us an idea of what else he's been doing, some of his background and the role that he played during his time at the White House.
Sure. He has extensive experience. He has been working with President Trump since before Mr. Trump took over the Oval Office, since the early days of the 2016 campaign. And since coming to the White House, he's definitely served as a middleman between the president and officials at the Department of Justice, including special counsel Robert Mueller. He has been the person who has offered advice and guidance and sort of communicated with both teams as this investigation continues. And as you mentioned, he played an instrumental role in pushing the president to choose Judge Brett Kavanaugh as his next Supreme Court pick, which makes sense that the president specifically included that in the announcement that he will stick around until that is finished.
So what does this latest development tell us about special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation? We know the reporting is that McGahn sat for hours and hours with investigators, that the White House seemed to have put few restrictions on what he could discuss. And it's important to remind people that McGahn is not the personal attorney of President Donald Trump, but the attorney for the White House, the attorney for the presidency.
That is a very important distinction, Anne-Marie, because, this is not somebody who's just hired to represent Donald J. Trump. This is someone who is hired to protect the prestige of the office of the presidency going forward. And you're right. One thing that legal experts really drilled in on that I spoke with is that they were shocked that there weren't more parameters surrounding exactly what McGahn could talk about and exactly how long the interview would last, and the fact that there were not other members of the White House legal team in the room who could sort of be, a witness to this interview, which could have been negotiated. And so there's still a huge question mark when it comes to what information McGahn has provided the special counsel. And again, the way that this is playing out, the way this looks, the fact that the president has not provided a reason for McGahn's departure right now just leaves us to link McGahn's departure with the Russia investigation, because the president certainly has not hidden the fact that that has driven his other decisions as well, including the firing of James Comey, the revocation of security clearances that he's considering. I mean, this is something that keeps him up at night, literally. He's tweeting at 1 a.m, no collusion. So, until the president provides a real answer about why McGahn is leaving right now, that is what we are left with.
When we spoke,
the timing.
When we spoke earlier, you mentioned that there had been rumors swirling for a while about McGahn's possible departure. So keeping that in mind, any idea who might replace him?
Well, we have been hearing that Emmett Flood is the natural heir apparent when McGahn leaves to take over this role. And Flood has extensive experience dealing with the Clinton impeachment hearings. And so it would make sense that he would be now leading the charge in, being this sort of bridge between the president and the special counsel's investigation, which he already is. He's already working on the Russia probe. And so that is the natural successor, but the president has not indicated exactly who he plans to have take over McGahn's position.
Well, Weijia, it's been, I think, a little while since we've had a major shakeup or a departure in the administration, so perhaps we were due. Weijia, thank you so much.
Thanks, Anne Marie.